Greetings, Patrick here, 8 Questions With, and happy Tuesday, everybody. That's right. It's the first show of the week, and glad that everybody's here. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I know it was really rough in the community this weekend. Holy crow, man! A lot of action and going on. So we have some people we want to acknowledge and keep in our thoughts and our prayers. First of all, our good friend Lady Valerie. She is currently laid up, and hopefully she will be recovering soon. Not fun what she has, and but I know that she can overcome it because she is Lady Valerie, and she is an awesome person, and hopefully she'll be able to, like I said, bounce back real soon. Our friends Katie and Hobbs are still battling the vicious the COVID beast. Both of them have been telling me how terrible it is, and yeah, every time I mask up, I think about things like that. I have not I have not encountered COVID yet. I still walk out of my house with a mask on. So knock on wood that that'll stay that way. So we're wishing the best to them. Our good friend Kyle from Kyle Flet's Culture. Um, he wow, he's got a tough road ahead of him as well. He was supposed to be our guest last Monday, a week ago last Monday, but he ended up in a fight for his life. No kidding, no kidding. Had an incident where he required surgery, and then he told us today that the surgery did not take hold. So he is having his esophagus removed. Uh, very tough thing to happen, and very serious. And we really do hope for the best for Kyle. Um, yeah, it's a rough one. I'm not gonna lie about that. So it's been tough. Our good friend Steven from House of Horrors. Talk about House of Horrors. That's exactly what happened to his house. Became a site of a whorehouse. Um, just, just, just a bad week in the community. But keep these folks in our thoughts and our prayers, and help them come back, bounce back. I mean, they're very valuable people. They're friends, they're family, and so hi, Jamie. How are you? How are you? We are going to be talking to a rising star tonight. We are talking to the rising star, NIKKI Serenity. She is a model and an actress, and she will be here shortly. And what a terrific guest, too. Very sweet young lady. Very determined, very focused as well. Let me read this to you off her press off her press. This is crazy. This is a lot for anybody to do. This is almost a career for most people. In fact, I got tired reading it because she's accomplished so much. So our young lady, NIKKI Serenity, uh, she is going to be featured on the Dr. Phil show this week. Actually, I believe she's going to be on Friday on Dr. Phil, and yes, we're going to save the reason why she stands out until she gets here. Then we're going to let her talk about it in her own words. But she's going to be on Dr. Phil, and she's been in several newspapers, including the Daily Mail. She's been on several podcasts and shows, including a Snapchat show called The Positivity Fix. She has been published in over 80 magazines. She has 14 magazine covers. She's done 24 music videos. She's done fashion shows, billboards. She's been featured on an album cover. She's done modeling competitions. Her movies that she's been in have won many festivals awards. So you're getting what I'm saying, right? Getting what I'm putting down here. She's extremely talented. Hey Larry, how are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Hello to the two Stevens walked in. She's also worked on various social media, brand ambassador, promo model, merchandiser, live streamer. All right. So she's used to what we're doing today. Modeling coach. Um, Modeling coach. That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. That is, that is actually really needed. In fact, I have not heard of anybody being a modeling coach. And I think in today's world, it's something that you think about doing. So I'm going to be asking her some questions about what does it take to be a modeling coach. Now I've heard of acting coaches, I've heard of music coaches, I've heard of singing coaches, various coaches, yes, but modeling coach, that's going to be a little different. And we can't wait to talk to Nikki about that. So basically, and oh, and in case you're wondering, she carries a 4.0 in college. In fact, I think Nikki wants to come up there and talk about this right now because the doorbell just rang. And you know what that means? As soon as the doorbell rings, we go get the guests. We don't ever make the guests wait. We get them in here and let's start talking to them. Steven mentions Nikki was the headliner for the Women in Darkness Tarot card 2 years in a row. I I can see why. All right, so please share us out and let's go get Miss Nikki Serenity. And here we go. Oh, is that me? Oh, that might have been me still. Sorry about that. That was not her. I had to go to StreamYard. I forgot that I did that. Um, so Nikki will be here in about Nikki will be here in about oh, about 8 or 9. Oh nope, there she is. Ta-da! Good, good. How are you? We
Good.
are live. We are live and we are rolling. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's been really a weird week though. Just really rough. You ever have just one of those weeks where nothing goes right for you or anybody in your circle?
It's funny you say that because it's kind of been a very similar type of week for me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we want to hear about it because I just share what happened to our week, but what happened to your week, and how can we overcome it together?
Well, I guess I could use yes, no, it was Sunday was an example. Um, Basically, my trunk wouldn't close, so I was dealing with that, and then I opened my back car door and a big bottle of moonshine fell out and cracked open and I lost all the moonshine. And then there's just a handful of other things that just happened within like the span of like 10 minutes, it felt like. And luckily, my boyfriend was very patient and helped me calm down because I was a bit upset. But we get over these things. It's all good. I
Um,
survived.
what is the moonshine? Was that like a beauty product or something, or is that like
Oh,
old fashioned moonshine?
yeah, moonshine is like a type of whiskey, like an unaged
Oh,
whiskey.
oh my gosh! So you're talking like old school Southern style moonshine,
Yeah.
the stuff they used to smuggle on what was it? Empire Boardwalk Empire or something like that. There that was about uh moonshine smugglers or something like that.
Oh,
Uh,
really? I haven't heard
yeah,
of that. I'll have to
yeah.
check that
Back
out.
back in back in when the 30s they had prohibition, which meant the government tried to not try to not to ban liquor sales, and so a lot of times in the South they would do is they just make moonshine up. They make moonshine up and then they would sell it to the North.
Oh,
And
was it moonshine they did? That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. They had the distilleries and they make that booze down there and then make cases and send them up north. And that's why they used to call 'em moonshine runners. And
Oh,
they,
wow.
yeah, yeah,
You learn
uh,
something new every day.
yeah. It's just been a weird week though. It's just been the weather's been weird. I think it's the weather.
That has been weird. Yeah, I don't know where you live, but here in the Midwest, we've been having freezing to really nice weather in like 24 hours.
Yes, yeah. I'm in Michigan, and we We didn't get a winter this year. We had snow. We got snow twice, and that was it.
We had
That was
some below zero weather back in January.
and yes, because you live in the Midwest too, like with me. And most of the time you get the worst weather. You get all the snow in your area, and then you pass it on to us. But we didn't have that this year at all.
Wow.
Now has the really moderate weather, has that seen an increase in work for you?
Um, I wouldn't say a whole lot because, like, if the weather is bad, photographers can make use of studios, so it doesn't necessarily make a huge difference. I would say I typically shoot indoors anyway. Um, so it hasn't affected it too much. There was one day, it was like a couple weeks ago, I think. The roads got so bad I almost had to cancel a job, or if I would have waited to leave my house, I probably would have had to cancel cuz the roads were so bad. People were like sliding around and stuff. Like I parked down the road for a while getting ready for work, and then when it was time to go, it was just like a 5-minute drive straight down the road, and I was like sliding straight down. It was crazy.
I remember a few years ago, I had a good friend of mine who lived in Atlanta, and they had an ice storm. They had like a half an inch of ice on the roads. That's nothing for you and I. You and I, that's like we're skating. That's a skating rink for us. But down there, uh, it took her 8 hours to get from her work to her house. Eight
Oh my
hours.
gosh.
That she had to be. They had to come and get the people on the highway. They had to come by and put gas on a lot of cars because they were running out of gas. They're stuck on the
That's
freeway.
insane. Where
Yeah.
was that?
Atlanta, Georgia, maybe about 10 years ago. About 10 years ago.
Oh, I wonder if that was that big ice storm that we got up here too. I would say it was about, was it like 17 years ago?
Not the one that I know of. The one my friend was in, it was about 10 years. And
Okay.
but it could have been 17. Most winter times we're talking like that, right? You and I, we're telling everybody in the chat here all about our snow adventures. But we did not get snow this year. We did not get snow. We no, most of the time on YouTube, you're looking on all those massive crash pileups they have going on every year. We didn't have that this year. There's no pileups.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah, oh yes, yeah. Um,
We unfortunately got some of that down here, but in St. Louis we don't have the best drivers, so when we have bad weather, they don't get the memo. You got to drive more carefully.
okay, we just got over to the chat. We're talking a little bit about moonshine, uh, and our good friend Scorpion, Greg Scorpion, pops in and says that moonshine is still being run. Even today, they're still making moonshine and they're still running it.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
There
yeah.
there's some good moonshine brands out there. I love Old Smoky the best. Old Smoky moonshine.
Uh-huh.
Especially
Uh,
the banana pudding one. They have a banana pudding moonshine. Oh, so good.
how the hell do you make a banana pudding moonshine? You know what? I'm sure someone's probably growing bananas back there and making it. That sounds bananas.
It's
Yeah, he think.
amazing. Even people who don't like banana pudding are like, "Whoa, this is actually good." I'm like, "Yup."
So what's your favorite dessert then?
Key lime pie.
Key lime pie. I'm not surprised. What about banana cream pie?
um, yeah, I like that too, but nothing beats key lime pie for me.
Uh, the way to your heart is key lime pie. That's what they say. Let's see. Steven is here. Let's see. Let's see. He says that Nikki is also one of the coolest people he knows. Totally
Aw.
epic with Kate Estrella. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, and Greg mentions they still do it illegally around here. Top shelf out of the vehicle's trunk. Yeah, that's exactly right. What I remember reading about. on Boardwalk Empire. They'd be making the moonshine and put them in trucks and smuggle them up north. Um, all right. So before you knocked on the door, I was telling everybody a little bit about your. I was reading some of your press. Um, you have accomplished so much in such a short amount of time.
Thank
Uh,
you.
it's an amazing press release. You have
Thank
done.
you.
It is very cool. You've done so much, and you are going to appear on Dr. Phil's show coming up this week. But before we get there, and we will get there, boys and girls, let's go back to the way back machine and talk about when Nikki was just first starting out. Now, where were you born and raised at? Have you always been a Midwestern girl?
Yep, yep. I've been in the St. Louis area my whole life. About 11 years ago, I almost moved to Portland. That was a whole long, crazy story, but luckily it didn't pan out because I'm doing very well here. So I'm happy to be in St. Louis.
I was going to say, you know what? It's more and more. We always hear about people always talking about, you know, whenever they want to become a music star or a rock star or or a movie star, they always head out to either New York or Los Angeles. But it seems like that's really happening less and less. Most people in a lot of states, they've already developed their industries. Their film industries, their music industries, entertainment industry. They've already homegrown it. There's not that much desire nor need to, especially with the internet and the way it is, social media the way it is. You don't no longer have to be in New York or Los Angeles in order to be very successful. You can be very successful in the Midwest. Uh, has that always been like that for you? I mean, when you first started out, did you start out as a model first, or did you start out as an actress first? How did they meet together?
I started as a model first and then pretty quickly got into some acting as well. They tend to overlap a lot, so a lot of people who do one tend to do the other as well. Um, so yeah, I do a lot more modeling than acting, but I really love when I get the chance to act as well.
I think that's going to happen more and more. I mean, you're getting a lot of mainstream coverage, and especially once people find out that you are an actress as well, I definitely can see casting directors reaching out to you and asking you to audition or offer you parts.
That'd
That's
be
one of the things.
awesome.
It will. It I would dare say it will happen. Not that it will happen. I mean, not that it may happen, but it will happen. Um,
Yay.
all right. Thank you for stopping by, Greg. I appreciate that. Our good friend Greg Scorpion, who was a guest on the show, dropping by to show some support. And I want to say thank you to Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Um, what was it like? How old were you when you first got your first modeling job? Were you small? Were was your mom your manager at the time?
Um, so I actually remember doing a couple small things when I was little. I did, and I didn't even remember this until like kind of recently. I just remembered the distant memory of doing a fashion show when I was little, like in elementary school. But it wasn't like a job, like paid job. It was like a fun thing, probably for like Girl Scouts or something. But I started like for real getting into modeling about 8 years ago. So that's around when I got my first like paid modeling job.
Well, see now people might hear 8 years. That may seem like a long time, but once they read your press release, you could definitely see how I mean, like I said, what you've already accomplished already. That's a career for like probably about 90% of the models that I know. I mean, for what you've done, and you just barely got started. Um, it's gonna be very cool to see exactly how far you rise. I mean, the sky's the limit for you.
Right, yeah, I definitely some of the things I've gotten to do in the past I never thought I would get to do. So I really look forward to what else might be coming up in the future that I may not even be able to imagine right now.
Um, So what's one thing? Now you've been doing it for 8 years, so you've been doing really well. Um, have you had any trouble on sets? I mean, what was it like when you first walked on your first set? I mean, or you worked for your first photographer? Were you nervous or anxious? Was it nerve wracking?
Oh,
Were you excited?
I was very nervous, very anxious. Back then, I was, like, extremely shy and awkward, and, like, I was always, like, the weird emo kid or whatever growing up, like, didn't have many friends, so it was, like, really weird for me, but, obviously, after 8 years, you get more used to it, and my confidence grew, and now it's like a piece of cake. It's just like, "Oh, time to go do another job."
Uh, Now you also model. You also do modeling coaching. So how do you? What do you take from your own experience? What do you transfer or hope to transfer to a new generation of models now? How has the game changed from when you were younger until now?
So, usually when I'm, like, doing the modeling coaching stuff, usually it'll be, like, another photographer, like, Brad Prime doing the main coaching, and then I'll help him out, and we'll kinda, like, model coach together. I would say from, like, the time I started and now, I don't think a lot has changed. The the biggest difference, the thing that makes the difference is, like, how much you put into it. So, like, there might be a model who's, like, getting coaching, and then they might not find any work. But, like, for me, I've found tons and tons of work over the years because 'cause I've put in the work and I network like crazy, like, every single day I'm networking, um, online, I do even in-person networking events, like, but, like, people don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and that really determines your success, I would say. Like, people tell me, "Oh, you're so lucky you got to do this and that," and I'm like, "It didn't just fall into my lap. I
Oh,
worked really, really, really hard for it," and there I could rattle off a list of things I do that people would just, like, never even think of because that's what works.
no, absolutely, you're absolutely right, and really do appreciate that too, Nikki, because I come from a live music background. I know
So
you
you
guys
get it.
all heard you guys all heard this in the chat, but I still gotta talk about it. So I came from a background in live music. I worked in 10 years for in live music in California, and what you just said about promotion, about self-promotion, it was true then, and it's never been more true now. Doing promotion has never been more important now because there's so much content out there. There's so much. It's easy. Like you and I were talking, and you mentioned how you sent the little blurb out to on Instagram, about us doing the show. I personally, for me, for this show here, I find that the best time for me to promote, and this is the truth, is the day of the show. If
Yeah, because
I if
people
I
will
pro-
forget.
Yes. Yes, what is up with that? Does that happen in the modeling world too? Do you tell people about that you got you have a modeling show or a catwalk? And do people, before, it's like that was the event. Do you find yourself have to remind people to, hey, I'm working today, you'll come see me? Do you find yourself having to do that like 2 or 3 times before the
Yeah,
event? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. That actually happened to me, like, last week. So, I actually just had a birthday, and I did a birthday party, um, last year and this year at the same place, and last year, sent out the initial invite to people, and then I sent out a few reminders, and this year and a lot of people showed up, and this year, I just sent out one invite, and I'm like, "If they care, they'll put it on their schedule, they'll remember, they'll go. They're adults, they don't need me to remind them," and then just, like, a few people showed up, I'm like,
Yes. Yeah, isn't that something?
it
Isn't that something?
it's crazy, I'm like, "Don't
It
y'all have schedules? I would not be able to function without my schedule."
oh my gosh. I personally cannot I can't function without this. I
Yep,
can't function, yeah. I every year I go out there and get one of these calendars, and I old fashioned. I mean, I was doing calendars that, when I was doing my shows. I just can't live without it. And but
And
it,
don't feel bad. I used to do a paper schedule too, and people pressured me into doing a digital one.
no, no, I do the paper one. Sometimes it'll, oh, some of it's hilarious. Especially during this month here. This is a Women Entertainment Month, and you're our first guest for that. So before,
Oh, awesome.
it's funny. It's like I tried to do this a couple of years in a row. The first time I tried to do Women in Horror, because it was actually Women in the Horror Month. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go grab myself 18 ladies who worked in horror movies, and it'll be awesome. It'll be easy. I could book this month of my sleep.
Didn't work like that.
No, no, Nikki, no, 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 no. Last year I said, okay, I'm gonna do it again. And I'm going like, oh, what happened last year? Look what happened to you last time. Did it last year. Oh my gosh, my calendar. You should see. I don't. I only I could read my calendar. It was so wiped out, with schedule changes and cancellations and what have you. And so this year now it's just Women Entertainment Month.
Yeah, that's how my schedule was when I had my paper schedule, constantly crossing stuff out, whiting out, replacing. Yeah.
But you have a manager though, right?
Nope. I'm freelance, so I manage myself.
Oh wow, okay, okay. I was gonna say if you're managing yourself, I mean, yeah, you definitely need to have that paper. You need to have that paper calendar because, um, how busy do you? How busy? I mean, you've gotten busier every year, I'm sure. Every year it's gotten a little bit better, a little bit bigger, and bigger projects and what have you. How have you been able to maintain your schedule? Balancing your regular life with your working life. As you become more in demand, how have you balanced that out?
Um, Honestly, I had to force myself to balance my life.
Mm,
I used to work 7 days a week, and that
mm.
was driving me crazy. There's a reason we're told to take a Sabbath. You gotta take a day off. So a handful of years ago, I started forcing myself to take a day off. So I started taking Sundays off. But I was still working like all day, every day, the other 6 days of the week. So eventually, I had to force myself to cut that down even more. And it actually wasn't until this past summer I had like a quarter life crisis, and I was like, I'm just working my life away, and I'm not getting any younger, and all I'm doing is work all the time, and I'm not having any fun. So I started saying no to more jobs and started hanging out with friends and going out and doing fun things for myself, which has been really nice because you got to find that balance. And that's what I did not have at all. And I'm a lot more balanced now. Still plenty of improvement to be made, but I'm definitely better than I was before.
The old school models, like the supermodel, of the older days. A lot of them say they used to just live on nicotine and coffee. What has changed for modeling this now? How do you take care of yourselves? Because I can't see you drinking 10 cups of coffee and smoking 2 packs a day. So how do you take care of yourself and keep yourself in shape for modeling?
So I can only speak for myself. I don't really know what other people are doing. There are healthy and unhealthy ways to do it. Um, Personally, I do keto off and on. Keto low carb diet works really well for me um, to maintain my weight or lose a tiny bit if I want to. Yeah, I swear by keto. I love it. Some people talk crap on it, but I'm personally a big fan. Um, I used to work out. I need to get back into it. Um, that's one of my next goals. I'm gonna start working out again. Um, I'd say my diet, it varies. I either eat kind of whatever I want, or I do keto, so I switch it up, which switching up your diet is healthy anyway. Um,
Right.
I guess that's about it, honestly.
Do you like working out? Are you a gym rat, so to speak? Are you in there, when you get motivated, are you in there for hours at a time, or is it?
Not at all. Not at all. I wish I was. I really do. Although I will say, um, back in like 2020, when I was going to college, I one of the classes I took was a workout class, and not that I enjoyed it, but I was pleased with how quickly I saw results. Um, I'm German, so I think like, German women are like naturally more muscular, so I started noticing muscle tone very quickly. Um, so I think I need to just remember those things and be like, okay, you just gotta get back into it and you'll start seeing results quickly.
And Stephen has a question for you. He says, what was it like being the first woman on the World of Darkness tarot card deck? So I guess you have been on I believe this is a digital deck um, for World of Darkness. Um, yeah. So what's it like being I guess a card, like a baseball card?
That
Um,
was really cool, actually. I don't think I've ever been on a card like that before, so, it was really cool, and I don't like I'm not a fan of, like, real tarot cards, but I like the terror card spin on it. I thought that was really cool because 'cause I'm personally a fan of, like, some horror movies and, like, I guess some gothy, like, stuff like that. Like, I was an emo kid growing up, so I kinda like some of that, like, darker themed stuff. And to see my face on a card that, like, people actually, like, played with, you know, like, traded
right.
and whatnot, like, that was really cool. So I'm very honored that I got to be a part of that. So thank you, Steven.
2 years to face a Women of Darkness. Um, that's quite an honor. Um, going back to back to modeling, you have seen a lot of different things as you came up. I mean, you've done the style of modeling you've done. You've done gothic. You've done uh, some of the pictures that I've seen. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Thank
But
you.
you are well known for being what is called if I'm not mistaken, the natural look. Can you explain what that is and what makes you stand out?
Yeah, so I grow my armpit hair sometimes. So I guess people call me like a natural model or have like the natural look or whatever. So basically, like I used to shave obsessively, and like growing up, people made me feel insecure if I had like when I first started growing armpit hair when I was like going through puberty or whatever, like somebody like made me feel insecure about it. And the same thing happened with my arm hair, like, a girl compared me to a gorilla, so I was, like, super insecure and, like, obsessively shaved for years, um, from a young age, and then I met this photographer, like, 7 years ago, Brad Prime, and I saw him doing these No Shave November photo shoots because he had this model that he knew, before he met me, and she was like, is it okay if I raise my arm, like, during a photo shoot?" And he's like, "Yeah, why would I care?" And, like, she was, like, clearly, like, insecure about having armpit hair or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, what's the problem? Like, why would I care?" And so he kinda realized, like, it's, like, a big thing for women, like, we're really insecure about that stuff, and so he started doing the yearly No Shave November photo shoots, and I asked to join in, and of course he said, "Yeah, you're welcome to," and it just stuck with me. I loved it, and I never thought I would because I was so used to shaving for years, but now I just prefer to grow it.
And now and you've gotten some, notoriety from it. I mean, now people are starting to know you for that look. It's very unusual to see, a model, that actually like, "Hey, I got nothing, yeah, I'm fearless about this," and showing your armpit hair. It looks beautiful, to tell you the
Thank
truth.
you.
The only
I like
my
it.
my my only question to me is like, I guess, I'm looking at it, I'm like, "Okay, well, I've seen it before, it looks beautiful." My only question is doesn't it tickle?
Honestly, not really. I don't usually notice it, and, like, a lot of girls will say the same thing. The reason they don't wanna grow it out is because they don't want the itchy in between phase, where, like, after you've been shaving and you start to grow it out, it'll, like, start to itch, which happened the first time I grew it out, but after that, I never really noticed it, so I never really have that problem anymore. Um, but no, usually I don't notice it. Actually, I notice it more if I shave, cause I feel like the skin touching the skin, but now with the hair, it's like there's something breaking the seal, so it's actually more comfortable.
Um, Now, do you divide your schedule to that? Like for 6 months of the year, you'll be without the hair, and 6 months with the hair, and then do you schedule work, assignments
Yeah,
accordingly?
I kinda do have to separate it. I don't necessarily plan, like, a certain number of months or whatever, but if, like, I have a big job offer and they want me shaved, I'll shave it, and then I'll reach out to all the people who prefer shaved or, like, told me to let them know when I shave or whatever, so that way I can get all those jobs out of the way, and then start growing it back out again. So I'm not against shaving. I mean, I I don't like shaving, but, like, I'll do it for work, like, it's part of the job, it's not a huge deal. Um, so whatever work calls for, I'm happy to do it. So
What did you, I mean, can you tell us about the circumstances when, the very first time you walked onto a set doing that? Because, I mean, while it's known, I've seen pictures like that before, but not a whole lot. It's like, yeah, I've seen it before, but like it's like out of 100 pictures of a model, there might be like maybe one or two with hair, but most of the time it's always, looking the best, glamorous clothes, your arms, you're showing off your arms and whatnot. Could you take us back to, when like, you saw the picture and you asked if you could be part of it, but what was it like actually walking onto the set, to the shoot and shooting with that? I mean, what was it the same photographer that worked with the other models?
yeah,
So
the
you
first shoot I did with the hair was, with Brad Prime, and, uh, he loved it, I loved it, so it wasn't weird at all. And one of the things he did for, like, those No Shave November shoots is, like, he wants to break the stereotype that women with body hair are, like, gross and sloppy and don't take care of themselves. Obviously, there's that type out there. That's just how some people are. But for
sure.
our first shoot with the hair, I wore a nice dress, I wore jewelry, my makeup was done, and then I also had armpit hair. So it's like a woman can look beautiful and take care of herself and stay clean and still have that. So, I felt beautiful. The photos were amazing. I could even send you photos from that shoot later. Like, it
Sure.
was a really memorable shoot.
Was it a close set? Was it just you and Greg?
So we actually shot at Forest Park in St. Louis outside. Um, so public area.
Uh, what was it like? Well, was this for a client when you shot the pictures? Was that for your portfolio, or was that for a client? And what was the first? Who was the first client you actually did a modeling for with the hair that earned you a paycheck?
So
What was the company?
That first shoot wasn't for a client, it was, just for, like, Brad's yearly No Shave November photo shoots, and it was, it was also, like, a thing, to help women with their confidence, um, and then I honestly don't remember who the first actual client was with the hair, but I do actually work with most of the photographers I work with actually like it, so I usually don't have to shave, for work. Like, I've actually, um it's grown on a lot of people, no pun intended. Like, there's some photographers I work with, they're like, "I didn't really think I'd like that, but that's really cool, it looks good on you," and then we'll be shooting and they'll be like, "Okay, show the hair now." I'm like, "Okay."
Uh, who do you get the most positive feedback from? Do you get more positive feedback from the photographers or from fellow models?
Some of both. A lot of yeah, I don't think I've gotten any negative feedback about it from models. And most photographers are cool about it. It's usually people like random people online who have the most to say. Um, I get like both ends of the spectrum. Dudes who are like creepily obsessed with it and like
Oh,
say really inappropriate things. And then I'll have people who are like, "Oh, that's so gross. You're disgusting. Like
really? Wow.
you're so unhygienic." Like I had one lady say that I'm gonna die alone because I have armpit hair.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard like, well, cause from
uh,
having armpit hair, I got the Dr. Phil episode, I
yes.
got an article in the Daily Mail, and I got an episode on a Snapchat show called The Positivity Fix. So that's 3 big things about that topic, so you could imagine I probably saw every type of comment that you could imagine.
Um, who do you like shooting for, or who do you like shooting for most as far as photographers go? Do you like it? Do you like it when a male shoots you or a female, and why?
It depends on the person, I would say. Most of the photographers I work with are men. Um, I would say the best and the worst have been men. But when I'm shooting with the when I'm shooting with a woman, I can usually assume I'm gonna be safe, you know? Like usually the creeps are guys, but then like the male photographers I shoot with regularly are amazing and some of them are my best friends. So I'd say it really depends on the person. There's good and bad on both sides, so
Yeah, because you don't do you. What's the furthest you traveled for a shoot? And what's your what how do you vet how do you, Nikki, how do you go through and vet out a photographer that you don't know about? How do you protect yourself? And
so
what do you tell your models during your coaching? What do you tell them about shooting for someone you don't know?
so to answer your first question, the farthest I'll travel, honestly anywhere if it's worth it. Like if they're offering me enough money, I'll travel wherever. I've gone to Florida like 6 times. I went to Mexico with my best friend this past January. Lucy, she's also a model. We didn't really set up shoots though. We mainly just left it for fun and relaxation. But we took pictures of each other like on the beach and at the resort and stuff. And then to answer your second question about how to like vet like safe creepy, um usually when I'm talking to them I can tell if they're going to be creepy or not, but
Mm.
that's not a good real rule of thumb for everybody to go by. I just personally I feel like I can sense those things pretty well, just off of communicating, but it's good to ask people, go to their social media, see what kind of stuff they shoot, message the models they've worked with, ask about their experience. Just do your research, learn as much as you can about these people. ask them for references. And yeah, I think if you do those things, you're gonna be safe.
Let's see. Steven has one question. He says, he forgot to ask. He says, if I did print up the tarot cards, would she autograph hers for him? I would
Definitely.
think, yeah,
Yeah.
I would think that would be a, I think that would be a no-brainer for sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And yeah, and
I'm honored that you want my autograph.
has that happened to you? Have you noticed that happening to you more and more? Have people started coming up to you? Because definitely, it probably will start to. Well, let's go back and to talk about the Dr. Phil show, because how did you land on Dr. Phil? I mean, how did that come about?
So they actually found me from a TikTok that I posted, and then they emailed me, and they were like, "Hey, we want to do this episode on how beauty standards have changed over the decades. And we saw your video with like the hair and stuff, and wondered if you might be interested." And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." Although there was still part of me that was like, "Is this actually real?" Because like
Mm,
I get scam emails all day, every day. So like most stuff is fake that I get. But I looked at the email and it said at CBS, so I'm like, that seems pretty legit. Like if it said at Gmail, then it's probably fake. But I was like, that looks real. So I kept going along with it, did like the pre-interviews, answered the questions, and sure enough, it was real. And I was on season 20. The episode is called "A Beautiful Rebellion."
um, Now that's coming out this week. This
Actually, that was 2 years ago. What you probably saw is I reshared the memory. But people can still watch it. There's a clip on YouTube, and I think they still have it on their website and the Dr. Phil Facebook page.
Okay, so they still run it. I mean, it must be. Have you been invited back by the show?
Unfortunately, not. They actually just ended. Like, I got in just in time. Season 20 was their last season, and then they're done with it now, unfortunately. Um, I would have loved to be back, but unfortunately, I think they're done with the show.
Oh, really? I don't have
Yeah.
a TV. I don't have TV, so I don't. I know about the show, but I didn't know if I thought it was still going on.
Yeah, I
Um,
think they just ended it recently.
but you're still out there. I mean, you'll be on for immortality.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's out there forever now.
so uh, in a different lifetime, but my wife and I, we used to love watching the Susie Orman show. She's the financial guru, and she has a
Nice.
segment called "Can I Afford It?" And so we sent in. My wife sent in a question, and she says, because we said, let's ask her if we could afford a Scottish fold kitten. So my wife sent in, and we didn't hear anything. And so
Uh,
one day at work, I'm sitting there and going like I'm watching the show. It says, well, what would happen if I do that? So I sent in a request, me myself. And about a month later, I got a phone call. I got a phone call for the Susie Orman show,
no
and so
way, that's awesome.
yeah. So we I know what it means, but it's, and it takes forever too. You tell people like, wow, how that was been so exciting. It's like, well, not really, because they contacted me in May for the show that aired on Christmas.
Ah, yeah.
So yeah, so they contacted me. They set up the date, which was like I think it was July or August, the Christmas show. Um, then they came on and said, so and then they called up, and then they we ran through the questions, and then I was like, I told my wife, she says, this seems, and oh my gosh, too. Did when you did the Dr. Phil show, did they send you like a packet of information they wanted from you?
Yeah, actually that was actually a really bad time for me. Yeah, well, so my boyfriend is a photographer, videographer, and so he was helping me with like all the video stuff and the Skype setup and whatnot. And they sent me like literally less than 48 hours before filming.
Oh my
They
gosh.
sent it was like they sent it at like I don't even remember. it was like the night before the last day before filming, and they're like, "We want all this B-roll." And I'm like, I work tomorrow, I've got lots of stuff to do, like how am I gonna fit all this in? Um, Luckily at the last second we got access to a studio and a makeup artist, and we filmed all the B-roll, and I was having like a 2-day, what felt like a 2-day straight panic attack leading up to filming. Like I was so just like freaked out and stressed over all this stuff we had to film, and also like knowing that I was about to be on Dr. Phil, cuz I'm like, I signed the paperwork. They have my written permission to do whatever they want with anything I say. But luckily it went great. Like they were super nice. They didn't make me look bad. He actually agreed with me and was like, "Yeah, what you're saying makes sense." So it I was worried for nothing.
Yeah, it's something else. See, to me, for us, it was like the opposite. It was like they let us know, and hey, you want to be on the show? We got your mail that you want to do the show. I said, okay, yeah, you still want to do it? Sure. And then they sent us this massive pack of they want our information because the segment's called "Can You Afford It?" And boy, I mean, we thought really honestly, it was just like we just sign it off, like okay, we agreed to do this, go on the show, and whatnot. But she really wants to know if you really can afford it. I mean, she doesn't do this half-ass.
Oh my
So
gosh.
we had to fill all this paper. We had to fill up all this paperwork, and we had to send it in. And then we didn't hear any. Then we didn't hear anybody from anybody until July. And they said, okay, so we're gonna shoot. What's gonna happen is that she's gonna call you at this time. You'll hear me, and then we'll segue into it, and she'll ask you questions. You just answer them, and then that's it. And so I
Wow.
sat there, and she didn't have any time to sit there and talk. She just went through the whole thing, and that was it. And then we didn't hear back from the show until like September or late September. And then they called back and they said, okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have you on the Christmas show. And we're
Ooh.
going, oh wow, okay. So they're on the Christmas show. There I am. You can hear my voice, and you could hear my voice asking if I could afford a Scottish fold kitten, which we could. Thank God. Thank God.
Aw, I love cats.
Yeah. Do you have pets yourself?
Yep, I'm a cat lady.
Oh, how many do you have?
So I live with my parents, and here we have our cat Snickers, who is my parents' cat. We
Okay.
have a cat named Edgar or Eddie. Who's technically my brother's cat, but they moved into a house they can't have pets, so he lives with us now. So here we have two cats. But then my boyfriend has a cat named Dax, who I also claim as mine because he's obsessed with me. I'm obsessed with him. He's so like cuddly and sweet and affectionate, and like I'll just hold him like a baby and he'll like nuzzle into me and rub his head on under my chin.
Okay.
I'm so obsessed with that cat. So I kind of have three cats. That's my long way of saying I kind of have three cats.
Okay. I think three cats equal cat lady status. Um,
I would have more if I could.
so what's been your favorite what's been your favorite shoot that you've done for or favorite company to work for? Uh what's been the one that surprised you the most and that you've had the most fun with?
One of my all-time favorite shoots, and I think it'll forever be one of my all-time favorite shoots. I was on this modeling reality show, and we had like different stages. We were competing in like a competition, and the finale stage, which was me and two other girls, we were competing to be the winner. And we had my favorite St. Louis designer, Barbara Boltman of Barbara Boltman Designs. We were wearing her wardrobe,
Mm.
and like I studied and practiced editorial posing like crazy because I wanted to win this thing so bad. And like the shapes I did, and like the flowing fabrics and everything was just so perfect. I really think it'll forever be one of my all-time favorite shoots. Um, the picture of me that people know me by, they say I look like I'm in a box, like I was actually in a fireplace, but like my legs and stuff are bent and I'm like curled up in this fireplace, making really cool shapes. Everybody who knows me knows that picture and they're like, that's the Nikki pose. That was one of the photos from that shoot, and that's actually one of the photos that made me the winner of that season of that show.
If you don't mind me asking, how tall are you?
5'7".
5'7". Okay. Now, so, has the modeling come down to whereas before, if you were like, you had to be like 5'9" to 6 foot or more? Has that come down now because of the so much various companies and influencers and stuff like that? I mean, is it no longer? They're not nearly as strict as they were with height as they used to be, right?
Um,
Five
it
foot seven model could.
depends. A lot of the agencies still have requirements like that. Like a lot of them are 5'8" and up or whatnot. When it comes to like St. Louis, I've noticed they're not as picky. Um, it's like, the bigger modeling cities like LA, New York, Chicago, that still have those requirements. But where I am, they don't really go by that as much, aside from like some of the agencies, like um, a couple of the bigger agencies in St. Louis also have those requirements. So yeah, it depends.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. If you're sitting there at a modeling house and you're watching a model like yourself getting all this work, getting popping up everywhere, I don't understand how you could turn a blind eye to that. To me, talent is talent, whether it
I
be
agree.
5'5" or 6'2", a talent is talent.
I agree. I have a couple model friends who are really short and they're super talented. So I think they're missing out on some really talented people, but I don't know. I don't know why they do that. I guess they have a certain look they want to go for, which is fine. So I guess other people will be appreciated somewhere else.
Now, have you been asked? You mentioned about the scams. Let's talk a little bit about that because I think that's really important. So, if you're a young model, you're just starting out in this business, what are some of the things that you can do to protect yourself from these scam letters? Like a lot of guys will sit there and they may say all the right words. They might know all. I'm sure a lot of these people know all the right words. Like you'll be in a comfortable atmosphere. You'll be working with this crew or that crew or whatnot. How can you tell when someone's bullshitting versus someone who's legitimate? Um, I know when we book bands, one of the things that we used to do, we do as a club, is that if we hired a band, we would send out, agree upon the fee for the date, and then we would forward half the money to the agency, to the, like let's say we paid $10,000 for a band, we send them $5,000. Then the day of the show, then we give them the other 5,000. Is that like that for modeling? If someone wants to sit there and say, "I want to work with you," and you give them your rate, uh, uh, do you require, does it help out? Has it helped to flesh out the scammers by sitting there and asking for half your money up front? Is that one of the better ways for models to protect themselves from being exploited?
That actually is a way that some models do it. Some models swear by it. Um, it's definitely something I recommend if you're not sure about somebody. Um, because I've been burned and I know other models who have been burned as well. Um, I More experienced models can usually pick up on red flags pretty easily because they've seen the stuff, so they know what to look out for. Newer models who aren't really sure, what to look out for yet. I recommend finding a community of models and even photographers you trust. Like I'm in some group chats, like St. Louis modeling group chats, and we'll be like, "Hey everybody, like this person reached out to me. Does anybody know if they're safe to work with?" Um, and that's a really good way to do it because I think a lot of models in there have been protected um, from some not so safe people that way. Um, and I myself have been like, oh, that's a red flag. I've gotten those emails. Don't even bother with it. So having people who know, I think is really good for new models. Because when I was starting out, I didn't have a community like that, so I kind of had to learn the hard way. So I'm thankful that their community is helping out the newer models now.
Um, do you have any goals left? Do you have any goals left for yourself for your modeling career? I mean, are you going to start to segue from modeling full time? Or are you going to go ahead and start leaning into the acting a little bit more and more? I mean, have you accomplished everything that you wanted to accomplish as a model? And what's left for you before you go on to start acting?
So I don't think I'll ever reach all my goals. I wanna continue modeling and acting as long as possible. I want to do more magazines, more traveling, more billboards, more album covers, more everything. I really want to get published in Vogue someday. That's been one of my goals. Um, I've been getting more into the influencer side of things, so I've been working with more brands like online and like making videos and learning how to edit videos and um, getting paid to like promote brands online. So that's been really fun. I want to continue to do more of that. I want to work with more big names. I've worked with, well, obviously Dr. Phil and those. I've actually worked in person with Nelly, Murphy Lee, Kiwan, Je. Um, so I'd really like to work with more big names like that. So I don't think there's really a cap on it. I think there's always more that could be done. So I just want to keep going for it and reaching for the stars.
Is St. Louis a good town for modeling? I mean, if a girl was gonna or a guy was gonna pick up modeling, I mean, is that market easy to break into?
It's okay. If you're looking at the US, I would say St. Louis is not, honestly not one of the better markets for modeling. The bigger cities are like Chicago, LA, New York. But for someone like me, who I'm like, I probably want to stay here, like my family's here and stuff, and this is what I want to do for work. I'm open to traveling. I want to go to all those cities and more. But I also network like crazy here, and that's what makes you successful in a smaller pond like St. Louis. You network and put yourself out there, and that's how you find the work. Because if you're just waiting to see what falls in your lap, it's not going to.
Right, right. Now, you mentioned before you like horror movies somewhat. Um, are you a big horror movie fan? Are you into the movies that way? I mean,
I
what were some of your favorite horror movies growing up?
So I used to be more into horror than I am now. Um, I
Uh-oh.
always loved people. Okay, people might think I'm crazy, but I used to love Saw. All the Saw movies, I was like obsessed with them. I was Billy the doll for Halloween one year. Um, like I saw this Saw 7 like the day it came out in theaters. The only one I haven't
Um,
seen is the new
there's
one.
people in the chat are sitting there going like, "Oh, we're with you. We are with you." Um,
Probably yeah.
yeah.
I people will think I'm even crazier now. I also really liked the Human Centipede and stuff like that. And people are like, "How do you like that?" I'm like, I wouldn't watch it anymore. Honestly, I probably wouldn't watch it ever again
What?
because
No,
I've
don't say
learned
that. Don't say that.
what.
Don't say that. The peed is mighty.
Well, I've learned how what I watch affects me, so I'm like way more careful about what I watch now.
Yes.
I still do appreciate those movies. I've seen for Saw, I've seen 1 through 9, but not 10. And for the
Did,
Human Centipede, I saw 1 through 3, and I think there's a 4th one now that I haven't seen.
there's still three.
What's
But the
that?
third one we don't talk about. We don't talk about the third one. The third one's weak. The first two are mighty.
The 3rd one? Yeah, that one that one actually bothered me more than the other ones did just because of, like, a couple of scenes. Um, but yeah. I
Um,
thought there was a 4th one, or maybe they're working on it still. I also really liked
I
Scream the TV show.
well, I know that the gentleman who played the doctor, Doctor Leiter, I know he passed. Dieter Laser, I know he passed
In
away.
in the first one?
Yeah, no, I mean the actor who played Doctor Leader, he passed away. Uh,
Oh, wow, I
he
didn't know that.
uh, Tom Six is still around. He says he's going to get another one off the ground, but he says that every year, and I just don't know if he'll ever find the financing for someone get him to do that. Um, I had the first one. I had the first one. I will send you a show that we did. We deep dived into the first centipede.
No
Uh,
way, that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. When you said the centipede is like, oh, she just earned herself a ticket into the Horror Hall of Fame. I think
Nice.
that really bothers me about this human centipede is I love the Silence of the Lambs. I love the movie. I read the book. I love the movie, but then I saw the human centipede, and then it's like the Silence of the Lambs after that was like sort of like watching a cartoon. It was just like because
I
the
never
centipede
saw
was just,
Silence of the Lamb.
oh, you saw the human centipede. I mean, come on. I mean, Hannibal Lecter. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's great and everything else, but it's the human centipede. They put people from ass to mouth. I mean, you can't get more crazier than that. You just can't. I don't care who you are. Um, let's
Right.
see. Dell says, I've never seen any of the human centipede movies. No interest. Just wait till Dell invites me on Dell on Movie Swap. Just wait till that happens because Dell will be watching the human centipede. He doesn't know it yet, so we'll keep this on the down low. But if I ever get on Dell's show, that's what he's watching.
Yeah, a lot of people are like my boyfriend's friend, one of his friends was like, "Yeah, I saw the first one. I was so disturbed. I'll never watch another one again." And I'm like, the first one was nothing. He should see the second one."
Yeah, yeah, yes, yeah. The second one is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And they say the best way to see it is in black and white.
uh
So
isn't that because it's less gory? Like you get
no,
less of
I hear it's actually because it's a much more effective.
Really? I heard it has the opposite effect, like it's less uh what's the word?
Have you well, I feel sort of silly asking you this because you watched the centipede, but has there been any movies other than the centipede that have scared you?
Yes. But it's like it's usually not like the most shocking like stuff that would be shocking to other people. Like in um in Pet Cemetery, like I loved the movie, but the scene with Zelda for some reason like really bothered me. Like she
Mhm.
was just scary to me for some reason. And it's not like a particularly what's the word I'm looking for that I keep forgetting? Not traumatizing, but what's the word?
Um, enjoyed?
No, like
Um, okay.
it's
Well,
not a
yeah, I
it's
don't.
not a
Yeah,
particularly gruesome or
it just stays with you. It stays
like
with you.
sometimes just something weird will just bother me, and like the scene with Zelda for some reason just like traumatized me. And also when I was a little kid, I saw this movie called The Boy Who Could Fly, and the scene with the guy who died and his eyes were super wide, like, that just
Mm,
really bothered me for some reason,
sure.
and that, like, always stuck with me, and it like, in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when that ghost lady in the truck,
Oh, large
like,
Marge. Yeah. Yeah.
freaked out, like, that freaked me out for some reason, but then I can watch, like, the really bloody, gory stuff for some reason, like Saw, I was, like, obsessed with, so I don't know, it's weird stuff that freaks me out sometimes, I guess.
Well, no, because I agree. Because I mean, I think I've seen some of the Saw movies as well, and the one scene that got me was the one in Saw 2 where Shawnee Smith's character, she got pushed into the pit with all the needles. That gave me the heebie-jeebies. That was
You
like,
don't
oh,
like needles, do you?
no, no, nobody I know really likes needles.
I
I
just got I just got my blood drawn today.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. I could do blood. Um, Dale's cracking up. He thinks I'm joking. He thinks now that oh, he wouldn't do that to me. Oh, yes we would. Yes we will.
Yeah, I got my blood drawn today, and, like, I look away, like, blood doesn't bother me, but I feel like if I watch it, I'm gonna feel it more for some reason. So then she finished, and I look, and she had, like, 7 vials of blood. I was like, "Holy crap, you took a lot of my blood."
Oh
But
God.
I've a lot of health issues, though, so I'm getting a lot of tests done and stuff, so it's part of it.
I'm having fun with Dell here. Yeah, you know what? That's funny too because I've done that too. I remember once where I went to the Red Cross and they stuck a needle in me, and you know, most of the time they put the flow down, and for some reason it didn't seem like they did that. And I'm sitting there watching the you know the bag fill, and it seems to be really going fast, real fast, and I'm going like, that thing's going really fast. And I'm going like, "Could you slow that down a little bit?" Because it was like, and I was like, "That's," you know, and I'm like sitting there going like, because they're all looking at other people, and I'm going like, "Yeah, that's all they need is to sit there and have them, you know, go down there and watch me, you know, bleed out here." Um, but so you know, that's a little weird too, you know, like, uh, but I don't mind doing blood. I mean, it's a life saving thing, and you know, I appreciate that you to volunteer. Um, so what was your first movie experience? Obviously it came after you started modeling. So how did you get drawn into going on to on a stage?
I honestly don't remember what my first movie was. I did, like, a handful of short films and stuff, so it was probably one of the short films.
Sure.
Um, I can't remember what the first one was, but most of those I find just, like I said, through networking. Like, I'm really big on social media, and I just try to connect with as many local photographers, videographers, filmmakers, anyone in similar industries, and I just put all my work out there, and they see me and they see my name, and then so when they have something, they want me for it, so
They
make
get a
them
hold of
remember
you.
your name.
Have you done any movies? Have you done any horror films yourself? I mean, you did. I think you've done a few now, right? You've done a few.
Yeah, I
Talk
actually
about talk about a couple of the movies that you've done recently.
so I did one called Zombie Resurrection. Brad Prime, who I do the No Shave with, he's also the one who did that film. Um, I was
Okay.
one of the starring roles, and I'm usually not that proud of my acting roles, but I was very pleased with my part in this film. I got to be the zombie. Brad trained me in the acting portion, so I got actual professional acting as a zombie training. Um, and I won't tell you much about the film because you got to see it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm going to say it made people cry.
Um, did you have makeup on for that role? How
Yeah, we actually had a makeup artist fly in from Vegas for that film, and she did all the zombie makeup and special effects and prosthetics, and It ended up looking amazing.
What did you think of when you took? Because to me, it's like here you are as a working model, and you're being asked to wear bloody makeup and basically be a dead person, and people will recognize you from Nikki Serenity, the model. I mean, you're all covered with blood and gore and whatnot. And a lot of actresses, a lot of models, they might look at that and like, oh my gosh, that's not me. That's not for me because I don't want to be seen like this. Um,
Oh, I
did you
loved it. I
did you
loved
love
it.
it? What
But
did you love about it?
it was just so fun. Like getting to be a different character and just totally embody that character. And I went all out for it. Like I was rolling around in the dirt and leaves. Like by the end of it, my hair was so tangled. It took so long to brush through it because I was just like going crazy with the part and like just trying to make it real, you know? It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It was hard work. It was really hard,
Oh
but
yeah.
totally worth it.
So did you get hooked for that? I mean, is this something now that you're going to be pursuing more and more? You're going to be going after more acting roles?
I
And
hope
and would,
so.
and would you do Human Centipede 4 if you were asked to? If they asked you to?
That's a good question. That would be very tempting. It would probably depend on what they want me to do, but I would be lying if I said I would not consider it.
You would have to do it. You would have to do the Pede. Let's
Well,
see.
I used to be when I was so obsessed with Saw, I was like, I'm gonna be in a Saw film someday. I'm gonna be in one. I can pretend like I'm dying. I can do that.
And the way they hi Sue, how are you? Glad you're here. We were talking with actress model Nikki Serenity. Um,
Hi.
Sue and her family, they are archaeologists and modern
Oh,
archaeologists. They travel the wastelands of the Dakotas and Montana, and they look at a lot of cool things, empty buildings and old ghost towns and what have you. Just fantastic people.
that's
Um,
super cool. My boyfriend's really into archaeology. He's told me a lot about stuff he's learned when he was like studying that and stuff. So it's actually way more fascinating than people give it credit for.
well, it is interesting. I agree with you. I think it's very cool. I like the people. I like the old metal detectors that go out to. They walk the grounds. They'll find an old house and they'll go ahead and metal detect it, and they'll find all these old coins or keepsakes or what have you. I think it's really cool. Um,
I have a metal detector I've never used. I
really.
need I need to bust that baby out.
Oh gosh, but yeah, metal detecting is very interesting. I watch. Sometimes I'll watch it. I'll watch the detectors on the tube. You got the ones on the
Nice.
beach. The ones on the beach are really cool, but I like the ones that do the like the rivers and stuff like that. That's more interesting for me.
That would
'Cause
be really cool.
yeah, a lot they find. I don't know. It's always every time you turn these on, they're always finding somebody's phone and stuff. It's like, and the thing about that is, it cracks me up. Is they'll find some iPhone and they'll actually get it to work. It's like,
No
really?
way, that's so cool.
You got that to work? How'd you do that? Yeah, they'll get it to work, and then they'll call the owner of the phone and say, "Okay, well, we found your phone," and return it to them. It's interesting.
Wow, that's amazing.
I like the idea that you're willing to as becoming an actress. You're willing to take those chances, but that's really been your modus of operandi, hasn't it, Nikki? I mean, you've always been sort of like a trailblazer in that respect. Like, you're not afraid to try anything at least once. um is there something that you won't do, though, either modeling or acting? Is there anything that you would sit there and say, yeah, I'm good, we don't need to go there?
Um, so I won't do like nude stuff. Um,
Right.
I did a short film one time and they wanted me to kiss another guy. And it's funny because my boyfriend was like, "Go ahead, like it's just for a movie, like I don't care." And I'm like, "I don't really feel comfortable with that." So they were able to like rewrite it I'm like, if I'm in a relationship, I don't know, I feel weird about that.
Okay.
So they respected that decision, thankfully. So, I mean, most things I'll do as long as it's not like don't tell me to take my clothes off. You know what I mean?
Oh, Of
Like
course,
some
of course, that's the number one thing, as far as scammers go. When they turn around, they're always getting models to try to do, you know, sassy pictures and whatnot. And that to me, that's always the first and the foremost red flag is when they sit there and say, yeah, we're gonna do some nude shots. And it's like, yeah, you and everybody else. I don't think so.
Yeah,
Um,
and then they'll tell new models that they have to do that if they want to get anywhere. But that's not true at all. Like people told me that, and obviously I don't have to do that, and I'm doing really well for myself. So, yeah, it really upsets me that new young models are getting taken advantage of like that because they're being lied to. So, if you're a new model out there, you do not have to get naked to get somewhere. If
uh,
they're telling you that, it's because they want to see you naked.
what do you have planned? What do you have planned for the rest of 2024? What's on Nikki Serenity's paper calendar?
So for Zombie Resurrection, we're gonna do a red carpet premiere. That's not set yet, but we're gonna hopefully plan that soon. I'm also in another short film called The Prosecutor. Um, there we had a showing set in St. Louis, but there was an issue with it. So hopefully we're gonna do a new one. So that date is also pending. There is one set for the end of this month in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. So if anyone lives down there, there's going to be showing down there. I think it's like March 23rd. Don't quote me on that. Um, More work with Selfie World. I'm a brand ambassador for Selfie World. If you're in the St. Louis area and you want to shoot with me there, we both get in free if you hire me to work there. Um, Also, I'm competing in the St. Louis Magazine A-List contest. There's one more week left, so if y'all could go vote for me, go to the St. Louis Magazine A-List page, go to Arts and Entertainment, scroll down to Social Media Influencer Local, type in Nikki Serenity. You can vote once a day from any email. Um, and we're in the nomination round, so there's a week left of that. It ends on March 12th. And then in like 2 months, there's going to be the actual voting round. So if I'm in the top 5 with the most votes, I'll actually go on the ballot to be voted for.
Okay.
And that could expose me to a ton of new people. St. Louis Magazine is a huge thing, so please go vote for me, everybody.
I would think that they would have. I would think that they would be happy to have you grace their pages without a vote. I would think that some editor would be smart enough to sit there and say, "Yeah, we need to get her in here regardless."
I hope
So
so. I've been trying to connect with them for a while. So sorry, my phone's about to die, so I'm just plugging it in so
no,
it
no,
doesn't.
no. That was actually going to be our last question of the evening. Um, so that's a good way for us to end the questions. To see what you're up to. I do want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us today, Nikki. I've had such a great time talking to you.
Me
You're so
too.
great. You're very gracious and very classy.
Thank
And
you. I appreciate that.
and of course, you're instantly into the Eight Questions Hall of Fame with the fact that you love the centipede. So
Nice.
yes, I am actually tickled to death about that. Hi, Brene, how are you?
That's so funny. Most people I talk to about it, they're like, "Ew, how could you like that?" I'm like, "I'm crazy."
Yeah, we love it here too. The centipede is our friend.
That's so funny.
It's such a weird movie. God
It re-
almighty.
it really is. I'm
It
like,
really-
but I like science. So like the science at like maybe I'm weird for saying that, but the science aspect of it, I'm like,
Yes,
I'm
that shocked it
fascinated by
shocked it
it.
shocked me. It shocked me when they sit there and said that this medically you could do this medically. And I'm just thinking that's just, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I bet you could, honestly.
Yeah, it was
Don't
it's
do
just
it. If
yeah,
anybody's
don't
watching, don't
no no
do it.
no
We
no
do not
no therapy.
recommend. It is only for screen. Fake
Yeah,
acting on
yeah.
the screen.
All right. All right, everybody. That's going to be our show tonight. We're going to end that on a high note, talking about the peed. I hope you guys. Everybody is subscribing to your YouTube channel. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Brene. I appreciate that. So go over there and sub to Nikki's YouTube, and then down below I have all the rest of her social media. I have her Facebook page, and I also have her Instagram page and her IMDb page that you can all visit. And that all helps Nikki. You can join her on her Facebook page and her Instagram page. She is very responsive to that as well. I must say you're one of the easiest people to talk to as far as getting the date goes. Getting the date here. You're
I'm
very
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 happy to hear
responsive.
that because I'm very bad at responding to messages. I just get so busy and then they get buried. So I'm glad it was easy on your end because some people are like, we can't get a hold of you.
This is the cheetah.
Baby! Oh my goodness.
This is Paladin. Hi.
Oh.
Hi. He wanted to come up here and say hi. He heard that you're a Centipede fan, so he had to come up and say hi. So this is
Aw,
this is
that's a
the, this is
cute baby.
this is the guy my channel's named for. Hey, Paladin. All right.
Oh, Cheetah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. I was wondering what that was for.
Um, so we will be back tomorrow night. I want to thank the chat for coming out and hanging out with us. I appreciate that. Um, and I hope that you'll come back out tomorrow night as we welcome back our one of our favorite guests in Jamie Olson from Olson Productions. She will be here, and we will be catching up with Jamie since we last talked to her way back on episode 51. Oh my gosh, it's been way too long since we had Jamie come back, but she'll be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And then gonna let you guys also know what's coming up on the show on Thursday. We will be talking with Joanna Lodge. She will be here. Hodge, Joanna Hodge. I don't think I'm saying that right, but I think it's either Joanna or Jonah. She will be here on the 7th, Thursday the 7th, and then on the 11th of March, we have artist Mandy Raven will be here with us 8 o'clock. On the 13th, we will have Nicole Ann and Kalel Neal. They're an actress and a film director, and they're both just starting out in their careers. So, as everybody knows that comes and watches us here on Eight Questions with, we love talking to people who are just getting their careers off the ground. It's the most exciting time to catch an artist. It's just right when they start to go. And so we will be talking to them about on the 13th. And then on the 19th, we have actress Heather Harlow will be here with us. On the 20th, we have Nikki Natir and Deanna Kenway. They will be with us from Rogue Luna Entertainment on the 20th. And then on the 22nd, we will be doing our second watch party with director Michael Cassie. Michael Cassie will be with us as we will be we will be watching on the 22nd as we will be watching Hunter's Moon, which is it has such an interesting history with me. And we will be watching that film and talking about it with film director, writer Michael Cassie. Um, all right, Nikki, stay right where you're at. And to the chat, thank you so much for coming out. I really do appreciate that. And we will be talking to you guys tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And we'll see you then. Have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.